Hey, you want to watch some TV or something?
Skip it. Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Nothing but foul language and toilet humor.
I'm disgusted and repulsed and I can't look away.
I need these things! I need these things! Tell me, do you want to go? We're stopping on the color line. Oh, no way, Jose.
This just in, go to hell!
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Okay, everybody. Welcome to Watch Skip Plus, the movie review podcast with the lifestyle twist. My name is the WillDaBeast, and I've got my co-host, Cupcake. Hi, Cupcake. How are you doing?
Doing great. Doing great. I see I'm snow gloss today. Sorry.
Well, I'm washed out, so
Jesus.
that's okay. Well, so good to be
I
here.
put a lot on. Anyway.
Our show, Watch Skip Plus, is a movie review show. The plus is an extra review that we share at the end. The plus can be about whatever. It could be an extra movie or TV review, a product, a service, even another podcast or event review. You know, our guy over here, Cupcake, likes to show makeup and personal hygiene products. I'm really big on movies and docuseries because I'm saving money to go on a big trip this summer. So
Nice.
So again, we want to just share something a little bit more outside of just the one film. So after you listen, or heck, maybe even right now, go ahead and review and subscribe to our podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever else you listen to podcasts. If you want to view, you can watch us on YouTube or on Spotify. Cupcake does the editing. He does a good job of throwing some visuals on top of there. You can also reach out to us, give us some shout outs, let us know. I mean, even give us recommendations. If you know movies that are coming out in the future, that way we don't have to sit here and discuss what we're going to review. So you can email us at watchskipplus@gmail.com, spell out the plus. Also find us on most of your social medias where we are Watch Skip Plus. You can find us mainly, I'll be on Instagram and Facebook. We also have a Discord. Do we have an X? I don't go to X. Do we have an X?
We do actually have an X, and just to let everybody know, it was a plus, but we changed it because apparently search engines don't like symbols. And so if you just search the words Watch Skip Plus with spaces, totally fine. But yes, lately the social media has not been updated, but I have been getting out the episodes on time, so I'm proud of myself.
You're getting them out. I'm trying to get them out and about, trying to make sure people know when we're up. I didn't get this one listed until yesterday, but most of the time we release Fridays, sometimes Saturdays, but we try to release the weekend after the film was released. So give you a week to watch the film and then to come back. Again, we split our show up into two different portions. We talk about a review proper, a spoiler-free review. Then we bust into spoilers. Then we go into our pluses. So Cupcake, what are we reviewing today?
Ooh, the much beleaguered, controversial, Jesus, I think like every step of this production, there was like 7 controversies, as many dwarves as there are in the film, as many controversies as there were. We are reviewing Disney's Snow White. Mind you, they dropped the Seven Dwarves. Although was the original called Snow White and the Seven Dwarves?
It was. They don't even mention the word dwarf in this entire movie.
No, steer clear of it.
They don't even describe what they are besides 240-year-old creatures of some sort.
So that is an interesting twist. But speaking of twists, let's get into a little bit of this controversy. So first of all, Disney has a habit of reimagining their animated films. And so when we talk about a reimagining, basically they just make it live action, but they will maybe tweak the story because the animated film is older to sort of match the times, if you will. Although when you remake a source material, there's really only so much you can do without making it a completely different product. So I think there's this one. And then right before this, I caught the trailer for the live action Lilo and Stitch, which I have to tell you, I'm so on board for. The first controversy started because Peter Dinklage, who I think we all respect, he's a fantastic actor. If y'all haven't seen, I believe it's called The Station Agent. He's really magnificent in it. Absolutely, chef's kiss. Everybody knows Peter Dinklage basically from his role on Game of Thrones, but he had given an interview where he had discussed the fact that Disney was progressive enough to cast a Latina, Rachel Ziegler, as Snow White. However, the plans were still to cast little people, if that's a proper term. I know there is an actual scientific term for it, dwarfism, and there's another one too, but I don't think we like that. I think we want to stay away from dwarf, right? Yeah. But I also don't think little people is proper. I just don't think it's great though.
I hate it, but I think it's how they prefer to be called, little people.
Got it. And so he had said like, hey, way to go, continuing the stereotype of like casting little people, right? And then there was this rage backlash that happened against him where actual little people actors were like, thank you, Peter Dinklage, for taking away my jobs. It was so messy. Now, as if that wasn't messy enough, photos leaked of the quote unquote purported dwarves that they had cast, and it basically featured a multi-diverse ethnic cast and one little person, and people lost their shit. They were like, what are you doing? To add insult to injury, our lead actress Rachel Ziegler is this is the time that we live in now, folks, right? We've got actors that are in a product. We love to call them film, but they are product, believe it or not, depending on the franchise. And you know, as human beings, we are vocal on social media. We love to give interviews and be maybe overly candid. And so Ms. Ziegler had posted that she was very pro-Palestinian, that she did not like the atrocities that were happening and sort of took the government to task for being pro-Israel. And then our evil queen is played by Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot is obviously known from Fast and the Furious and then Wonder Woman, of course, but she is Israeli. She is from Israel. She served in the Israeli army. She has talked about that. And so without her saying it, obviously she is pro-Israel. And so there was this controversy and even rumors sort of leaked like they weren't talking to each other. If you look at some of the press interviews, they're very standoffish towards each other. It's like there's two different interviews. I don't know what's happening. It's crazy. And then the second step was that Rachel Ziegler, after the election, had sort of posted like middle fingers and stuff. And she said something along the lines of like, I hope President Trump and his followers know no peace. Crazy. And you say, from a business standpoint, it gets even worse. Now in the department of maybe there really is something because you acting like there's something, Disney did not do advance tickets for this. Normally the advance tickets are about a month beforehand, maybe even 2 months if it's a Star Wars. Are we still anxious about I don't know. Anyway, whatever. But they only did advance tickets 2 weeks before the premiere. And let's talk about that premiere. Normally there's this big lavish thing and et cetera, et cetera. This one was like, I think it was held in the daytime. There was no red carpet, or there was a truncated red carpet. No media was invited. Only I think a Disney affiliate interviewer was brought in. And then they only let like, I think, kids in versus reviewers. So I don't know, somebody write a book and then somebody make a Lifetime or an HBO Max movie about the making of this, because unfortunately the offstage drama seems a little more crazier than the actual movie itself. Yeah. I should also add that the man that they cast as the prince in this, or would-be prince, this is part of the reworking, his name is Andrew Burnip.
Yeah.
And he came out recently as being sexually fluid. I'm sorry, I don't mean to giggle. In fact, I love Andrew Burnip. I think he's gorgeous. He gives Jonathan Bailey and his tight pants in Wicked a run for their money for his tight pants in this. You know that song where they're like, and it's got something to do with you. I literally, while they were singing it, I leaned over to Scooter and I was like, and it's got something to do with that ass. So this actor, Andrew Burnip, he did a play called The Inheritance, which was very long. It featured full frontal nudity. He was a gay character in it. And he famously came out in many interviews saying that it taught him that he could be open about fluid sexuality. He identified as a straight man, and then he did this play and was kind of like, maybe I like men too. So I know that's not getting a lot of press, but it's certainly another wood on the fire for this.
Yeah.
Really quickly, what did you think as all of this stuff was unspooling basically as the production was going on before release? Were you just like
Well, traditionally, I'm just have yet to really be wowed by these remakes. So I just, besides the fact that my daughter really wanted to see this, we saw the trailer for it in front of Wicked. So that was, and of course, she loved Wicked. And so she was really excited for Snow White. Both of my 7-year-olds were. So again, I just had these kids always just wanted to see it. And I did not have much of a desire to see Snow White. Until I realized who was behind it. I mean, Mark Webb is a huge name. He goes back to Sundance for me. So that was, I was like, oh, Mark Webb's directing this. And like you said, the initial buzz from after the premiere at the El Capitan, which wasn't at the Chinese theater, which again, usually Disney does them somewhere big instead of just a little El Capitan theater in Hollywood. But, I just expected to hear more, kind of a bigger buzz. But yeah, there was no buzz. And so I should start putting my heart behind this movie because it seemed like it was destined to be a flop. And I'm a sucker for musicals. When it was announced this was going to be more of a full-fledged musical with new musical numbers. And I was kind of excited to see what happened to it. So, I guess we'll get more into the review. Do you want to go ahead and start with Behind the Line?
Yeah, let's do it. So diving below the line, we've got Snow White. First of all, we should probably mention that the original Snow White, 1937, okay? It is a huge milestone. Like I will save my snarky commentary when I rewatch this for the first time in like 32 years. But the original I haven't. Snow White wasn't. I mean, even though I'm flaming gay, Snow White was not really like my thing as like Disney movies. I think I leaned more towards the boy stuff, like Black Cauldron and whatever. I'm all that. Pinocchio. But the original was a milestone because it really was the first animated feature, and there was so much innovation and technology. Like Disney had created, I believe, a multiplane camera that allowed it to walk back through panels and make it look like it was realistic, right? And so much innovation, just the look of everything, it changed the landscape of animation. Many call it a miracle. And I concede it's a beautiful film. It's wonderful to look at. I have some issues with the story, but for something in 1937, I mean, what do you expect, right? Also, that particular style of singing in Snow White, not my thing. Like Scooter makes me watch. I like to watch it. March of the Wooden Soldiers. Do you know that? Or Babes in Toyland with Laurel and Hardy. Yeah. And the people singing that too. It's that like vibrato, like, and I'm like, no,
1920s, 1930s.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wish my prince would come. Which I'm so glad.
Exactly.
I'm so glad they cut that song. It's the worst.
Like that, and not.
Can I get that again? That was great. You sounded just like Snow White.
All right, all right. So here we go. Director Mark Webb. You mentioned Sundance, right? So Mark Webb, interestingly enough, I don't think he studied film. He got a college degree from. I'm sorry, everybody gets a college degree, folks. He got an English degree from University of Wisconsin in Madison. Shout out to my friend Ryan who lives in Madison. I think, unless I got that wrong. Sorry, Ryan, I love you. But he became an editor, basically, Mark Webb, for music videos. And then he shot music videos for Good Charlotte, Evanescence, Three Doors Down, Green Day, My Chemical Romance, and then obviously parlayed it into a movie career. Sundance, 500 Days of Summer was his feature-length debut that starred Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Zooey Deschanel, just kind of an out-of-the-box indie romance kind of thing. I mean, hell, there was a musical number in it, which was really fantastic. I love that movie. Did you see it? You saw it at Sundance?
Yeah, I saw it at Sundance, and Mark was there for the premiere, and I was like, every director has a different vibe at Sundance. Some come in kind of pretentious, like he just came in as the most regular, schlubby looking dude off the street.
Hey, watch it. He's cute. He's really cute.
It seemed like he was like a lot of these actors come in with their scarf, 3 different scarves, just designer clothes. He comes in like a normal old dude wearing looks like a secondhand hoodie that's all got stains on it, just like a normal, just schlubby guy. So again, I love that because I just love how normal he was. And so here he comes, directs. It's his first film, his first big time writing and directing something, and here's this beautiful, wonderful film that really kind of transcended a generation. I think that it just really just pushed things forward. Unfortunately, I think he's kind of changed where he got sucked into the what do we talk about almost every week? These big Sundance auteurs get sucked into the big movies. So this was Spider-Man. He got sucked into.
Yeah, but what a suck, baby, because he did.
Wow, he did say that. That's a double entendre.
Because he did the 2010's The Amazing Spider-Man, which itself was a reboot. I'm gonna just christen Webb as the reboot king, I guess. But it was a reboot of Sam Raimi's Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and that gave us Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. My favorite Spider-Man, by the way. Y'all can't touch Andrew Garfield. Okay. As much as I love Tom Holland. And then he did the sequel, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's okay. And then I think from there, he was attached to a bunch of different things that sort of fell off. He was behind creating a Netflix show called The Society, which only lasted 1 season. He then turned to directing a lot of television. And so I'm talking about Limitless, if you ever saw that, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which I know people absolutely love. He's directed for Why Women Kill, High Potential, which is a big hit now. And then he did the drama movies Gifted with Chris Evans and one of the Fannings, maybe? I don't know.
I can't remember her name, but yeah.
I can't remember her. I think she was the one that played the young Captain Marvel. I should really know who this is. And then he also directed The Only Boy Living in New York, and that starred Callum Turner, who stars kind of on the rise Assassin's Creed, The Boy in the Boat, The Boys on the Boat, sorry, and then some other movie he's going to be in, I don't know. And now we have Snow White. My nickname for Mark Webb, by the way, is McGee's cooler, more casual brother. Sorry, because they kind of look alike. A little bit. Anyway, so our film is written by Erin Cressida Wilson. She has a lot of prestige, but not necessarily Hollywood prestige. So she graduated from Smith, which is an all women's college in Northampton. She has written a ton of plays, okay? And stuff like The Erotic Project, Stop All the Clocks has gotten some notice. She's probably best known for penning 2002's Secretary, which I'm sure, was that at Sundance? Did you catch that at Sundance?
That was before my time, 2002.
Oh, okay.
03, but yes, it was at Sundance 02. Yep.
Got it. That actually won Miss Wilson an Independent Spirit Award for Best First Screenplay. Wow. Gotta love that, right? She's also been behind writing Fur, an imaginary portrait of Diane Arbus with Nicole Kidman. Chloe, directed by Adam Agoyan, who really one of the unsung, amazing Canadian directors that people don't talk about. So everybody, please explore his resume. Men, Women, and Children, that was co-written with Jason Reitman, and then the 2016 thriller, The Girl on the Train. She's also a writer-producer on Vinyl, which I heard was really good. That's an HBO series, but I think it got canceled. I'm going to mention our producer, Mark Platt. He's something of a hometown hero. He grew up in Pikesville, Maryland, actually went to law school to become an entertainment lawyer, and then he started producing films. And so he jumped in producing films like his first was Campus Man, which is absolutely terrible, but there's a gorgeous actor that's in that. Legally Blonde, Wanted. He's produced these films: Scott Pilgrim versus the World, The Girl on the Train. And then he ended up jumping into Walt Disney Pictures and collaborating and doing these either film versions of musicals like Into the Woods, as well as Wicked. He is behind Wicked as a producer, but also helping to revamp these live action animated films as live action musicals. So he did Mary Poppins Returns, Aladdin, The Little Mermaid. He's also done productions like Grease Live, Jesus Christ Superstar Live, Rent Live, and of course the film adaptation of Dear Evan Hansen, which caught a lot of flack, not the least of which was his son, Ben Platt, was cast in the film as a high schooler. Dude is 27. Dude looks super fucking old for the movie. And he really should have just given up the ghost and taken his accolades on Broadway, and they should have cast a younger person. But that's just me. Okay, moving on. Our cinematographer is Mandy Walker, who I absolutely love because she's a badass female cinematographer. She's from Australia. She's known for films like Mulan, which she lends, Hidden Figures, and of course, she got an Oscar nomination for Elvis. More importantly, she shot those Baz Luhrmann films, Australia, and then, of course, the expanded Australia, which, did we talk about this? I think we did.
Yeah, we did.
It was on Hulu, and they broke it up into like a miniseries or whatever. I love Mandy Walker. She came to light in terms of her indie films in Australia, one called Lantana, which I actually saw in the theater. So there you go. She's also shot Shattered Glass, Beastly, Red Riding Hood, doing a little bit of a, grim fairy tale kind of thing there. Jane Got a Gun, The Mountain Between Us, and then, of course, obviously Elvis. And then Truth, she's worked with Cate Blanchett on a bunch of films. So there was a film called, I believe it was called Parklands, that Cate Blanchett was in Australia. And then they worked on Truth together, and that was about Dan Rather and his producer, their last days at CBS over the whole document controversy. Our music is by Jeff Morrow. He's done a lot of like kids stuff and Disney stuff. I don't want to like devalue his work. He's great, but I think the most important thing here to learn is that the additional songs are done by a duo called Pasek and Paul, and they are Benji Pasek and Justin Paul. They're both graduates of the University of Michigan. They are the winners of American Theater Wing's 2007 Jonathan Larson Grant Award. So Jonathan Larson did Rent. But we all know them because they wrote the songs for a little film called La La Land, and then followed that up with The Greatest Showman. Speaking of Dear Evan Hansen, they actually wrote the music and the lyrics to that musical as well. They also have a lot of other musical creds under their belt, but they really are like the hot music duo of the time. And so I think they even wrote original songs for Lyle Lyle Crocodile, Spirited. It is what it is, right? Anyway, so on to you with the cast.
Yeah, let's get into the cast. I'm only going to just talk about a few names here. Again, this is much less an actor's movie as it is a film about music and about visuals. So first off, let's get right into the controversy. The one little person that they did cast as a voice and who was kind of the body double for most of the quote-unquote dwarves is Martin Kleba. Martin Kleba got his start back in the early 2000s on, I think it was the Andy Dick TV show. Also did some music videos. and kind of grew to fame because of a reoccurring role in the Pirates of the Caribbean films as a pirate in there. You've seen his face. You've probably seen him in many different films, but he's also a little person stunt man who's been, again, 78 different roles as a stunt man. So give the guy some respect. I mean, he has been in a lot of films, and as much as Peter Dinklage and him kind of were going at it, I think that they both are respectful actors, and Martin Kleba does have a great resume of stuff. Have you seen him before in anything?
Oh yeah. He's also really hot.
Yeah.
So hey, Martin Kleba, give you a call, dude.
Yeah, so he was actually
He's great
in this one of Grumpy, but they used his body for like the
motion capture stuff.
Motion captures of all the other dwarves. I get controversial. I don't know why they used one guy for all of that, and he's the only little person voice for the dwarves or mystical little creatures, whatever they want to call them. Let's move on from them to let's talk about Andrew Burnap again. Like you've kind of given us a little bit. He started his career as a Broadway star and really got his star shining with The Inheritance in 2019, which he actually won a Tony Award, but he because of the COVID awards and COVID in 2020, he didn't get it that year. But
the COVID awards, we all got it, folks.
The
we
COVID awards. Sorry. The COVID award show in 2020. Anyway, I first saw him as Joseph Smith in the awesome Under the Banner of Heaven, going back to our guy Andrew Garfield.
Speaking of Andrew Garfield, yeah.
Gosh, yes, you and my daughter both love him to death. But he was did really well in those Joseph Smith scenes. He also was in the Apple TV series We Crashed and Dear Edward. Again, I really have only seen him as Joseph Smith in that Under the Banner of Heaven, and then in this film. I thought he kind of looked like the actor who played Archie in the Riverdale TV show.
Oh my God, I was just about to say he has the look, so much so he should be on like fucking Riverdale. But you're talking about KJ Apa, New Zealander, who I love. I adore KJ Apa. Where is he? My God. I
don't know.
So he did a COVID movie with Demi Moore.
Singer-songwriter movie, yeah.
The COVID movie was called Songbird with Demi Moore. It was more like a thriller, but then you're right. He did some sort of like music thing. I want to say it's Once, but that's a different Broadway thing. I got Broadway on the mind, but he does remind me of KJ Apa, but he's got that look, and I wish him success. And any costume designer needs to put him in tight pants. So just do it. So
yeah, I thought I actually quite liked him. I thought, from this being the most I've seen him, I did quite like him. He has a nice singing voice. Again, I felt you could tell he comes from Broadway. The music really was the star of this movie for me.
Oh, shit. Yeah. He was in the front room. That fucking bonkers movie. That fucking bonkers movie with Brandy. Oh my God.
He plays Brandy.
MESS, mess. I made a mess.
I haven't seen it yet. You've seen it? Did you? I heard it.
Oh my God. It's so cringy bad.
I gotta watch it.
Well, you have got to see the front room. Just know it's very scatological. There's a lot of like shit throwing and soiling of pants.
So it's like a racist mom or grandma just hates.
Yeah. She's just like psychotic, but there might be like an underlying supernatural kind of. Wow, that movie. Everybody check it out. Wow. A24, thank you so much.
they do with A24. The gift that just keeps on giving, right?
I know, right? God bless them.
Well, let's get to Snow White herself, Snow White proper. We did talk a little bit about Rachel Ziegler. She's first known, I first recognized her from West Side Story, where she played Maria. She has a really great.
I just met a girl named Maria.
Yes, my mom used to sing West Side Story to me all the time. She was in musical theater, which is why I got into musical theater. R.I.P. But yeah, West Side Story was a big part of my youth growing up. We actually did these in my church growing up. We used to do these road shows where they would pick a song and we would all kind of go to different church groups and perform, and one of those was Maria. Me and my sister and my mother went and sang Maria. So to me, that always has one of those sweet little memories of my childhood. So West Side Story, and I mean, to talk about a movie that really should have gotten more, because again, COVID movie came out in 2021, and I think it got confused right afterwards. In the Heights came out, so I just don't know if enough people saw it. I mean, it was Steven Spielberg. It had all these names, but it just didn't get the hype.
So good though, and you say introduced the world to Mike Faced, who ended up as one of the leads in Challengers. Yeah, I mean, just awesome. By the way, the first time I saw West Side Story was on the big screen at the Senator Theater, which was like a historical movie theater here in Baltimore. And I love dancing and choreography, which is why I lean towards musicals as well. The dance scenes literally made me cry. I thank God that theater was dark, because every dance scene I just cried from Jerome Robbins' choreography. I mean, it was beautiful. But Ziegler,
she's
not a lot under her belt, but she got some work pretty quick, right?
Yeah, she got some big movies. I mean, Shazam, The Hunger Games, West Side Story, and Snow White. I mean, come on, she's only 23 years old.
Yeah.
So, again,
Y2K. Did you see that?
I did. I liked Y2K. I'm a big fan of Mooney, so it's a mixed bag of a movie, but I had a good time with it. She's got a nice rising star right now. Going back to these controversies, the things that people are saying about the Palestinian-Israel thing, I think my two, I'm just going to say my two cents on this is, Ziegler's 23, right? And then at the time we had from Scream was also saying something about it in her 20s. When you're
Melissa Barrera, yeah.
Melissa Barrera, when you're in your 20s, you're passionate. You have so much passion and fire about what's going on in the world. And if you don't, you should, because that's the time to really feel the passion for social change and social movement. So for me, that's just them being who they should be at that age, like being passionate about a social movement that you feel needs to be talked about. I think that we should allow these people grace to be able to discuss how they feel on any side of the, left or right or center, whatever. To me, expressing themselves the way they did should not have caused such a blight on this film, should not have caused the issues that it did. That it's going to be a flop, probably one of the bigger flops of the Disney remakes. 45 million this weekend, I think, is what it's looking at. So it's just sad that so many controversies have taken over a film and kind of got into the editing and creation of the film and forced changes, I'm sure, on Mark Webb to make changes that he probably didn't want to make. But again, I don't think it's Ziegler's fault for being passionate and saying what she wanted to say. And I really think she was great in this. I think that she is the star of this show next to the music. She really just grabbed my heart. My daughter loved her. And I think she's got a lot of talent, and we're going to see a lot more of Rachel in the future. Going back to what you said, like you and I, when we grew up, although I think I'm older than you, I don't know. You're a few years older. When I was in my 20s, about their age, it was all about the war in Iraq. We just had 9/11. Yeah. But we didn't have
the mouthpiece of social media to be able to do this. And so, like, it's a different time growing up. Like if you and I had despair about how the war was going, we either protested or we just shouted into the wind. Like that was, do you know what I mean? Like we didn't have the outlet that social media had, where there's instantaneous comments, there's instantaneous reaction. And I think you're right. I think we need to give them a little bit of grace. But I mentioned film can be product. And this is just a message to those young and upcoming actors. Unfortunately, you really do have to watch what you say, because you are in a business and you have to cast yourself, or you have to get cast. And the things that you do that show up on social media or make the news can hinder that. So, all right, we got one more big actress.
Get there. The queen of the film and the queen of many of our hearts, the Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot. She got her start really with Fast and Furious as Giselle back in 2009. She did do some stuff in her hometown in Israel, TVs before, a show called Shemesh in the 90s. But she really got her start in Fast and Furious. I remember seeing her in an episode of, I think it was Entourage. She shows up in Night and Day, but I think of her as Wonder Woman. What do you think about Gal Gadot?
Oh my God, I adore her. Like, I don't know. I love her to pieces. Like, I think she's gorgeous. I know I'm not supposed to say this, but like just her accent. I love it. I love how she pronounces words and stuff like that. Keeping Up with the Joneses, she's a blast in that.
Yeah,
she's actually pretty damn good in Criminal, which I know nobody saw that movie, but since I'm a big Kevin Costner stan, it's not a great movie. Wait, was that directed by McGee? Hold on, I'm sorry.
Wait, I think it was it. I don't remember.
No, it wasn't. It was Ariel Vroman. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Why did I think it was McGee? You know what? I'm thinking of the Kevin Costner 3 Days to Kill, written by Luc Besson and I think directed by. But you know, even when she's in Shizats like Red Notice or Death on the Nile, I love her. I know that there is a huge contingent of people that think she just cannot act, and I don't see that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little blinded by her beauty. I think she has a very natural charm. But I mean, even Heart of Stone, which I didn't think was great by any measure. I thought she did really well in it. We'll have more to say about her performance here. What about you? How do you feel about her?
I don't know. I think she's a pretty face. I think that her line delivery a lot of times seems off, almost like she's reading.
Oh God. There is a super cut of bad line delivery by her that it makes me chuckle, but I don't think that the lines were delivered that badly.
She just, I don't know. She's okay. I think she's really pretty. I mean, when she came on the screen as Wonder Woman with that music, it's just like, she to me is Wonder Woman. I love her as Wonder Woman. I think that she needs to have a little bit more range. But again, I really do think that she has a presence to her, presence that you just cannot help but see. When she enters the screen, it's like, there's Gal Gadot. She's just so beautiful. And I don't think her, I just don't think that she has the best reading ability to read lines, but she's pretty and I like her. So that's it for the cast. Anybody else that you wanted to mention that I didn't? I mean, there's a whole lot of other little names and things like that, but I think that catches it on my end.
I think that's pretty much it. I would just mention that our costumes are by Sandy Powell. She's many Oscars. And then our choreographer is Mandy Moore. Not that Mandy Moore, folks, but Mandy Moore has choreographed things like, I believe, Bring It On and some other stuff. Although
notice the costume for Snow White, how cool. It literally looked like it was put together by Young. It looked like she handmade it. And me and my kids even noticed that. Her costume looked like she made that with just scraps, and it was so good.
I would have liked a little bit more of an update from the original look, but that's just me. But anywho, so
let's get into the film proper, and let's start with you, Cupcake.
All right, so you did introduction, so I'll go. So spoiler free, I was not looking forward to this, and as I had mentioned before, I'm sure Disney is not watching this show, but if they were, here's what I'm going to say about your live action remake stuff. I don't watch those. I have not seen Beauty and the Beast. I have not seen Aladdin. I did not watch The Little Mermaid. And the reason why is I don't need to see the animated film blown up to live action. Shot for shot. I'm acutely aware that it is not shot for shot, but like in this film, there are nods to things in the original animated movie, but I just don't need to see that. I didn't see Mufasa. I don't even watch them on streaming. And so I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that Disney, we know you're triple fucking dipping into the well, right? To make us consumers go back out there and buy your shit. I mean, I think there's even like a Lion King series or whatever. I'd heard there was going to be a Princess and the Frog series, and then this whole DEI thing kind of came about, and they killed it, which is so stupid. But you know what? I dare them. Disney, I dare you. Make a live action Princess and the Frog. Do it. You're not going to do it because you're simps. But anyway, that's my feeling on this. So I don't go to the theaters to see these things. This movie won't change my mind, but it did a little bit because I got Wicked vibes from this. I was not expecting it to be a musical. I know that there are songs in the original Snow White, and yes, I know the whole internet buzz was like, it's a musical or whatever. But it starts with a song like almost immediately, and so I was like, oh, we're going there, okay. But I got Wicked vibes, and I liked the songs, the new songs. They were great. And so again, it's not going to change my mind to go back and see those, but I was pleasantly surprised by this, and I had a good time watching this, actually. I will say this, Scooter and I argued whether Gal Gadot rose to the occasion in her singing, but man, her song, whatever it is, fairest of them all, man, it was awesome. That was some good shit.
The whole just the look of that scene, that whole and down the staircase, it's just so cool.
It better than expected, actually. And Ziegler's great. There, as I noted, there were things from the cartoon that they just kind of like blew. I know that's probably an insult to say cartoon, but from the animated feature that they blew up, like her trip into the forest was fantastic. I was like,
scary.
Yeah, it was very scary. And then but it brought me back to being scared as a kid watching Snow White and being like, or whatever. But when you look at it as a Brothers Grimm fairy tale, I remember rewatching the original and being like, Christ, she wants to kill her. And there's like the psycho scene with the knife. And it's like, let's go out and get her huntsman, bring back her heart. I'm like, wow, how did we not voice opposition to this even back in 37, that this was kind of a violent kind of thing? And so when I heard that this was going to be like kind of like a modern update of it, I'm like, how are they going to change this? I will tell you that the updates to the story and the plot and her sort of like girl power and not needing like a boy to sort of like rescue her, but then she ends up falling in love with the boy that kind of rescues her. It was a mixed bag. There's some girl power there, definitely, but it definitely was a mixed bag. There is a peace message here, which I really, really liked, about getting along and helping each other. Not only just the relationship between her and the dwarves, but also like the village and stuff like that, that I thought was really strong. I love the chemistry between Ziegler and Burnap, not just because they're both absolutely gorgeous, but man, when they sing together, I was like, okay, he's high, she's going higher. Is this going to work? But their duet it just warmed my heart. Mm-hmm. Now, those are the good things. What are the bad?
There's some bad.
What are the bad things? Those fucking dwarves, man.
Oh my God.
So
wow.
Painful to watch these CGI dwarves. And, when I watched Toy Story and they had that bully, that horrific, the way that they animated that bully, like, just was like a walking nightmare. These dwarves, and in particular Dopey, is a walking nightmare to look at. We can have Avatar, and then we've got these fucking dwarves that don't look real at all. And it just, it took me out of the film, and it could have been a home run. Those dwarves fucking, Also, I will say this. I don't know how I feel about their big song, Hi Ho or whatever, because it basically just became the minecar sequence from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Like, right even down to the peril of possibly being smashed by the conveyor belt or whatever, and then the roller coaster like mine cars, I was like, okay, now they're just doing that or whatever. But and then they changed it up, like they are magical creatures that have lived for like hundreds of years, but they don't interact with humans, and yet they mine the jewels, which gives the evil queen the power for the kingdom and the finances, but they don't know their own place in the economic scheme. Like I literally leaned over to Scooter and I was like, maybe they should just strike and not mine the crystals or the gems, and then the evil queen won't have money, and that's how you get them. But they don't even think of, I don't know. Anyway.
Mistake.
So, and by the way, that picture that they first leaked that they thought was the live action Seven Dwarves, they appear in the movie, folks. They are the rebel sort of force that's fighting against the evil queen to try to restore the kingdom. Yep. And so it's interesting that Disney didn't come out and say, they're not the dwarves, folks. They're part of the update. They are the rebels or whatever. But Disney didn't even do that. There's a lot of weird silence from Disney for this.
They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know how to market it. They didn't know how to make it. And I feel bad for poor Mark Webb, who he had to just felt like pushed and pulled to do these changes and things.
But I gotta say, he did a very, very good job of making this entertaining, even though the friggin' dwarves were awful. That whistle while you work number was amazing.
Yeah. And there was a nice update. It was a nice update from you're a little woman who have to stay at home and do the cooking and cleaning while we go do the work. Instead, she's like, dirty little men, let me show you how to clean. We're going to clean together.
Exactly.
Update. There's so many little teeny tweaks like that just a little tiny little bit of feminism, a little bit of, but unfortunately the anti-woke police are really kind of burying this film because of those little teeny tweaks.
Let's go back to a time, not 1937, folks, but let's go back to a time when woke was actually a good word. It meant that you understood there was systemic racism. You understood that these invisible forces were happening that were putting people of color down, and it's been weaponized against us. Frankly, the quote unquote woke aspects of this, they work for me because the original, again, I'm going to stay away from the snarky stuff, but like you mentioned, right? Like she was just this vessel waiting for like a stalker prince to come and set her free. Anyway, and I love the way that they reworked this sort of the kiss itself, right? There's a payoff in their duet song where she consents. Okay, maybe I'm spoiling things. I'm sorry. This is spoiled. But she essentially consents to say, listen, I like you a lot. And if I were knocked out or something, if you kissed me, I would welcome that. And it was like, yes, they did it. They tied it together. And it wasn't this like patriarchal, like kiss, whatever. So anyway, sorry about spoiling that, folks. But I really enjoyed this. It's a watch. I kind of understand the hate, but I don't understand the hate. And especially if you liked Wicked, I think you're really going to love this. Although the Mandy Moore, you did us a disservice. The choreography was a little too like blockography is what we used to call it. I was looking for something a little more amazing, but it's a lot of like in a circle or whatever, but whatever. I loved it. Watch.
Yeah, and I love you talking about Mandy Moore. Did you know I actually got the time to spend like lots of one-on-one time with Mandy Moore? She actually did the choreography for my first halftime Holiday Bowl halftime show that I produced. And so I got to hang out with Mandy Moore, and she brought a bunch of people that
wait. Stop.
The choreographer, not the actress singer.
No, I know, but I'm going back to second words
on my phone.
But I'm going back to second word sounds like produced Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah, so I used to do music festivals, and I mean that's what I did right out of college. Is I was going to teach, and then when I got out of college teaching, it was a Bush's No Child Left Behind, and I was like, "Fuck this noise! I'm not going to do this." So I got out of teaching, and I ended up kind of pivoting into doing music festivals and dance events for high school students. So that's what I did for like 8 years. I did music events. I ran them all over the country, and then I did the Holiday Bowl halftime show for 5 years. So
That's amazing. Not Super Bowl, Holiday Bowl. I had no idea. Look at you. Wow.
yeah, and I know Kenny Ortega, and I know a bunch of people who, choreography, famous people who are choreographers. So
Kenny, or do you know Paula Abdul? Anyway,
no, I wish they never had the money to hire her, but
okay. But let's keep these going. I'm dying to hear your thoughts.
okay, let's go to my thoughts.
Yeah.
Again, I was dragged into this because I have kids, and I've been dragged to all of those films that you haven't seen. I actually kind of sort of have been warming to these. I remember the first live action remake was The Jungle Book, which is actually kind of fun. I did see that. It was amazing. Fun. Cinderella has a really Kenneth Branagh vibe to it, which fits. I thought that was really nice. Beauty and the Beast was Beauty and the Beast. I didn't really enjoy it. I like this more than Beauty and the Beast, and I actually liked Mufasa more than I liked Lion King. So I almost feel like they're kind of figuring out how to do these, but at the same time, they just allow politics and things to get in the way. Disney, just stand your ground. Just allow your filmmakers to stand.
No, careful with that phrase in Florida, folks.
Oh, don't pull out your guns. That kind of thing. But
sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
Allow filmmakers to follow through with their vision. Like Disney has this thing of getting too involved, whereas I almost kind of wish they were a little bit more Netflix. Allowed them to give kind of have some freedom. Sometimes I feel like Netflix needs to rein their people back, Russo brothers. But at the same time, Disney seems to just like force their people to do stuff that they don't really want to do, their directors. So I felt like Webb kind of was roped into this one to do things that he didn't want to do. I could tell that it felt like he did not want to do the dwarves the way he was forced to do them. I felt like that was completely pushed on him, and it didn't work. It doesn't work. That was a huge mistake. They look awful. Dopey looks like the guy from Mad Magazine. Like,
yes, Alfred E. Newman. What? There's even a line in there that says, "What? Us worry?" I swear I heard that. I heard it. What? Us worry? And I was like, oh, so they know. They know.
So bad. But if you go to the internet and see like people who like this film on Reddit, like they love Dopey. And they like think he looks so cute. And I'm just like, he looks so creepy. They all look so creepy and unnatural. That's the big mistake right then and there. I also think the second mistake in the film is Gal Gadot. I think she's miscast. I think she's the name that was brought in. I didn't think she sung very well. I think that her line reading was off. And then when they make her as the evil witch, she's not scary enough. Like she just didn't look frightening enough compared to the original witch or some of the other witches that we've gotten throughout all the different years of Snow White versions we've gotten. So again, those are the bad things, but the good things are the music is great. It's very much like Moana, Frozen type of music. You've got this big Wish song that they kind of replace the I Wish My Dream Will Come.
Oh, I love that.
They replaced the Prince song with this new really cool kind of like Just Around the River band, Frozen, just kind of one of those big epic anthemic princess songs, which really worked. And my daughter, by the middle of it, already caught the chorus and was singing. And of course, we watched like a little behind the scenes yesterday, and she had to watch that whole video of that song and sing it. So that song works. And for the most part, I thought the music worked. It's paced really well. Out of all of these remakes, and most of them are close to 2 hours or more, this one is like under an hour and 50 minutes, and it really does move. If you can wrap your head around some of the mistakes, I mean, again, the dwarves are a mistake. I feel like we have a miscast queen. And otherwise, I like the changes. I like the thieves. I like their actors who were turned into thieves because of the economy that was created by the evil queen. Yeah. And I also love that the Snow White story is about being kind, being empathetic, and fucking fighting fascism. Boom. I love that about it. I love that in the end, it was about coming together and realizing we are stronger than this one person and this tiny movement if we all come together. And I really did like that. I really do like, quote unquote, the wokeness of this film, which again is just a teensy bit. It's not like the most woke film ever. And again, these dumb conservatives, they just keep pushing it. they just keep pushing a narrative on us. This is not some shockingly feminist, anti-traditional Snow White. It's not. It really is the Snow White we know, with a little bit of messaging about being empathetic, being kind, being sweet, but not allowing people to push you over. So there's a thin line between, oh, you sweet thing, and being cute, friendly, and willing to kick butt when you need to kick butt. And I think this worked. Overall, I'm going to give this a soft watch for music fans and fans of Disney movies. If you don't like these movies and you don't like musicals, just don't even bother, because you won't be entertained. You aren't going to like it. You're going to be more bothered by the dwarves and some of the other choices. So again, know who you are. If you like musicals of any type, or you have any type of nostalgia for Snow White or the classic Disney films, give this a try. Otherwise, grumpy Paul Taggart and the other GGTMC folks, maybe just skip this one. It's not for you.
Yeah. Got it. One last thing, and then we'll definitely go into spoilers. So going back to Gal Gadot, I can see why people think she's a bad actress and her line delivery is whatever. But I was thinking about all of that and watching her as the evil queen, and in a weird, twisted way, it works, because her line delivery is just awkward but arch enough that it works for this character. They didn't go for any depth with the evil queen, right? But just her face and the weird line delivery and the smirking or whatever, I thought it worked here. And I was like, you know what? This is by any stretch of the imagination, this is not Jack Nicholson in like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, right? But what she's doing works for the role. And I will go to the grave by saying I think she did just fine in her song.
Yeah, the song was fun, and I think that she has an okay voice. I really wasn't offended by her singing. Just, she just kind of seemed awkward in this role a little bit to me, which was just, maybe was written that way. Maybe she's just so power hungry that she just can't see anything else outside of her thirst of power.
That she's so greedy she didn't take the singing lessons from the anyway. Okay, so folks, if you have not seen Snow White, even though I spoiled it a little bit, if you've not seen it, we are going to be looking into the mirror and asking who is the spoilerist of them all in 3, 2, 1. So going back to that thing, it just, with the kiss, it works here, whereas in the original it was kind of like the prince just kind of like comes in as like, hey little girl, how are you, you know what I mean, and then like leaves on the horse, and she's like, oh, and then suddenly there's the kiss. Like there's really no connection between the prince and her in the original, but here they allow them to grow together, so that when he sees her out of commission and everybody's sad, he's like, oh fuck, I never got to kiss her, and we were growing close and we were about to have this this intimacy or whatever, and then he kisses her and then she comes back to life. It worked. It completely worked for me.
Like you said in the song, it set it up in the song, whereas in the original the queen puts this stupid little caveat that true
love's kiss.
Will break this and she'll never find. It's like, why wouldn't she? She's cute. Why wouldn't she find love?
Right. Hello.
This writes that little bit of a mistake, a little weird choice that they made to make true love's kiss the antidote. Instead of an antidote, it was just basically, she said, if I'm dead or if I'm dying, I want you to give me a kiss. And because he followed through with that, she revived.
Yeah.
And I think it worked for me. I've heard people on the internet complaining like it didn't make any sense. He just didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense. But I felt like
they weren't paying attention then.
They weren't paying attention to the song. And that's what happens to a lot of people when it comes to a musical. They turn their brain off. If they don't enjoy musicals during the song parts, they just kind of sit back, sit around, don't pay attention to the film, because you've got to pay attention to lyrics in musicals, people, because they give plot. They really do plot details.
I don't know how people don't understand this already about musicals, they further the plot. It's not just like they dropped a song in there, right? I think the rise of so-called jukebox musicals like Rock of Ages, where it's pop songs that are done, like, yeah, that doesn't necessarily advance the plot, but yeah, pay attention to the lyrics, folks. I did like the creepy transformation, like she's singing as she's changing. I loved that. I thought that was really cool. You know what, I don't know. I mean, it's not like they should have had her look like, you know, the Elizabeth Sparkle monster from The Substance, right? But I thought that her evil, or her old hag with the apple, was scary looking. But remember, she can't be so scary that Snow White doesn't take the apple and is like, sure, I'll eat this shit or whatever, you know? Yeah, I did also, you're right. I did like the message about the working together. So what's funny is the movie opens with where the good things grow, right? And it's talking about how under the king's stewardship, the land was prosperous and it had all these fruits and all the good things grew, like the good people grew, right? And so then I was thinking like, oh, maybe it's an environmental message, but no, you're right. It is standing up against tyranny and a bad ruler, because I love that scene at the end. And they bake this into it. I mean, I don't know if you caught it. I thought it was pretty obvious, but in the opening number, she's dancing with these two cute boys. And later, the two cute boys are seen putting knight's armor on. Yep. And then at the end of the film, they're there. And she's like, Paul, I remember you. You were the baker and this and that or whatever. And she's like, you remember you or whatever. And I loved that because, you know, it's always been about the fact that if we all banded together rather than be so selfish and looking out for ourselves, the world would be a much better place. It would turn into the weirdo white party that ended up like
that finale white party was weird.
They vanquished the queen and then suddenly they're all in fucking white and dancing around and they're raving. Is so strange.
Snow White threw like she threw like a Real Housewives of Beverly Hills white party at the end.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get it. Snow White, haha, they're all in white, great. But then it was like, aren't we trying to get away from that? Anyway, it is what it is. But I did like that message. I also loved that, just like in the original, the evil stepmother in a way dispatches herself. So in the original, she was trying to put the big boulder and drop it on the dwarves, but then there's a lightning strike and her cliff like basically breaks and she falls to her death. And then here she's so angry, and I'm glad that they didn't go the Snow White and Huntsman route, which is like, you know, Kristen Stewart with the sword, going after Charlize Theron, who, by the way, is my favorite evil queen. Okay. Charlize Theron was a beast in that fucking movie, which was not great.
And she's so pretty. Oh, man.
Yeah, they both are. And ironically, both in the Fast and the Furious franchise, right? Just came back to life and popped out of that sub. Hey, I'm really alive. Girl power. I was like, what the fuck is happening in this series? But I digress. What was I saying about the evil queen? Oh, yes. Instead of Snow White or any of the rebels, I call them rebels, but you're right, they're thieves, attacking her and killing her, she gets so fed up, she breaks the mirror, which essentially destroys the bond between them, and then she gets destroyed, basically, because in a very weird Dorian Gray kind of thing, the mirror was keeping her younger, and so when she broke it, she died or whatever. I like that they kept that aspect.
Turned to black ash. It was cool.
Yep. And it was
Yep. There's enough
your thoughts
on the film. I think there's just enough to like to push it just over the edge for me. And I get that you and I are probably the only people out there that are going to like this from our listenership. But I mean, if you give it a try, even if like me, your kids force you out there to see it, just go out there and see it. If you like musicals and you like Disney films, definitely give this a try. I overall, I like the messaging. I like the wokeness of it. I like feminism. I like the little tiny tweaks, and they get rid of Someday My Prince Will Come. I love that they got rid of that and they replaced it with a great big anthem. And I really enjoyed that finale with her destroying herself with her vanity and destroying the one thing that was keeping her alive. So there's enough good messages here to overcome the bad. But yeah, I say this is still, I still say this is a watch, soft watch. Get out there, take your little girls to it. Let's do away with the old women should be a slave to men, which very much is what Snow White is about. It's about a woman learning to becoming subservient, learning to give in to men, and that's what she did. And because she did that, she became the queen. I like this message a lot more about being kind, about fighting fascism, fighting bad rulership. And I think it's poignant right now for where we are in timeline.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like woke Snow White. And I think Mark Webb did what he could with it. I'm sad that somebody like Mark Webb, who I really like, is kind of caught up in this controversy and that people are just kind of shunning this film. So I recommend people to go out there and see it. Let's help it out a little bit.
Yeah. 45
million. Wow. That's sad.
Yeah. It's on par with Dumbo, which also I did not see.
I did see, and it is really, and that's my least favorite of all of those I've seen. And it is Tim Burton's worst movie. So this is way better than Dumbo, but unfortunately it's being tagged with Dumbo.
Yeah. Also, so one last thing, and then we'll move to our pluses. That Rachel Ziegler girl, like she held the show. She has like that. Yeah, she definitely has it, and her singing. So as you know, I will do like community theater, and I love to sing as well. But I'm learning more about like the actual physicality of singing and what you do like with your throat and your breathing or whatever. So the entire film I was just staring, because there's a thing about like tongue placement when you're singing and you're sustaining notes. And the whole time I was just like, what's her tongue doing? And I'm like staring at her tongue. I know it was the weirdest thing to admit, but she's really, really good. I will say this. I saw the Hunger Games Song and Snakes blowjob, whatever the fuck it was called. And her character is not very likable in that. And she also sings to the point where like when she starts singing, I was like, oh God. All right, we get it. You have a great voice. Like, stop fucking singing. Now I don't want her to stop singing. Like she really has a great voice and a great presence, and she's so charming. But I love that she allowed herself to stretch. Her character in that Hunger Games film, not super likable, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, watch for me, totally.
Yep. So watch for both of us. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Let's go on to skip or to pluses. What about you?
Let's skip. Actually, before we do our pluses, I wore this limited edition shirt I had gotten. It is.
What is it?
It's all the Disney villains together, like in a montage. Yeah, it's pretty fantastic.
Asia, the big demon.
There's like the little evil queen. There's Ursula. Yeah, I love this shirt.
I love it too.
I don't know if you can find it anywhere. It was like one of those weird like pop shirt limited edition designs, and you had to get them like right then and there. Yeah. Anywho, so my plus. I am as susceptible to Instagram and Facebook ads as a kid in the checkout aisle with candy. And so I had been seeing advertisements for Mando.
I've seen those. Yeah.
Yeah. So just so everybody knows, and this is sort of the weird hypocrisy of skincare, is Mando is the male marketed version of a company called Lume, Lume. And so they ended up doing stuff for designing stuff for men, because some of their packaging is like very colorful and it's got like pictures, like little designs on it that look a little flowery. But basically, Mando creates creams and deodorants that essentially use an ingredient called mandelic acid. And so for people who have stinky pits or, stinky pubic hair or whatever. Mandelic acid is good because what happens is that, yes, you sweat smells, yes. But if the environment is not acidic, it allows the sort of bacteria and what causes some of that smell. So you get the skin bacteria, and then you get the sweat and stuff, and it doesn't dissipate, and so it just proliferates, and that's why you get that like stinky body odor. So as a male, just some advice to some of our younger male listeners or watchers. As you get older, there's like 3 horrible things that happen. One, you have to shake longer. You'll know what this means.
Yes.
You have to shake a little longer as you get older. 2, you get hair in places you didn't think you could get hair, and they are annoying. And then 3, you end up really stinking the older you get. And it's partly because of this mandelic acid thing. And so I bought this. I didn't think it was going to work. But those places that had caused a lot of scary odor as I got older, this shit works. And you only need a tiny amount, and you can literally put it anywhere. I mean, it says like hits, privates, packages, butt, and underarm, whatever. It's amazing. Worth every penny. Obviously I wouldn't rub a stick around my my nether regions, and so that's why I got the cream. Yes, but they do make a stick for the pits. So Mando, everybody grab it. I think they sell it now at Target, maybe, but I'm sure you can get it on Amazon. But and women, even if that's a thing for you, these cost the same, whether it's Mando or Loom. So thank God for that. I thought it was going to be one of those where like the men get charged less, which is super weird. I don't know why that happens, right? Like men, our haircuts are $30. Women, your haircuts, $65. Like what's going on? I don't understand this. And even in skincare, sometimes the men's stuff is cheaper, to which I say, the skincare product doesn't know if you're male or female. So just buy the men's stuff. It's worth the
money. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's my plus. How about you? What you got?
Okay. So again, I'm going with a film that I've watched. And this actually is something that I got turned on to because of you and the folks at The Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema. I've been going back through and listening to past podcasts from our podcast brothers. And one of those was an episode of you on The Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema talking about an Australian film called Life After Fighting.
Oh, yeah.
I logged on to, I think it was Tubi is where I found it, one of those free sites. And there she was in all of its glory. Bren Foster kicking some major fucking ass.
Oh, yeah.
Last 40 minutes of that movie makes all of the melodrama, all of the cheese, all the well worth it. I'm so glad I listened to that podcast and I've seen this. Now, I've seen Paul Taggart from Gentleman's Guide out there talking about this movie, but he and I, while we're friends, he just likes nothing but action films and has nothing to say good about anything that's not an over-the-top action film. So I was like, okay, Taggart's raving about this, cool. But then here comes Sammy and you and Will, all 3 of you giving this pretty, 7, 8s. So I was like, wow, okay, I'll give this a try. I'm glad I did, man, because this movie really does kick some major butt. Again, you've talked about it on the podcast, but I'll go ahead and just go over the plot. It's written and directed by Bren Foster, who's an Australian stuntman and actor and ass kicker. Man, this guy is just a martial artist. You talked about it a lot on the podcast episode you were in. So this is like both a plus for the movie as well as your guys' episode and The Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema. Just such an awesome podcast, and it's the reason why we're all together. I recently listened to both your Lifeguard episode as well as this. So keep doing the guest spots. I love hearing you guys on there. But yeah, go and see this movie. I mean, Life After Fighting, again, free on Tubi is where I found it. It's about a martial artist who used to be a fighter, military, I believe, and then he retires and becomes a kung fu, I guess, like martial artist, mixed martial artist teacher. Has this great big dojo, and lots of melodrama pursues. But basically, the plot is that he meets this girl whose ex-husband is trafficking children and steals children, and he has to fight them back. They all end up back at his dojo for the last 40 minutes, where we get a great siege of just some of the best fighting, some of the best bone-breaking, bloody, brutal bliss that I've seen in an action film in quite some time. It is a little long in the tooth at 2 hours and 5 minutes. You could cut a lot of that out. It's a reel basically for Bren Foster. So I think he had a hard time on knowing what to edit. So sometimes on these vanity projects, you probably should have an editor. I think he could have easily cut 15 minutes out. There's a side plot about some person he used to fight with who comes back, who he's now a champion and he'd never beaten him. So he comes to fight Bren again. And that's a cool fight, but didn't really fit the plot. And then the whole melodramatic ending just goes and goes. And
yes.
I mean, they might as well just have voted for him to be the president of the world at that ending. It was just all the glory to Bren Foster. But again, if you like action cinema, you like the fisticuffs, Adkins, Jean-Claude Van Damme, this is the movie for you. It is very, independent, really low budget, a little high on the melodrama, and it is about child sex trafficking. And there's some brutal stuff that happens to children in this. So warning, but otherwise, GGTMC folks, if you don't want to watch Snow White, go out and watch Life.
You can check out Life After Fighting. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that it plays like a reel, and I'm saddened that we don't see Bren Foster in more, because apparently I guess the payoff didn't work. But I guess the more we spread the word about it, hopefully it'll come across some casting director's desk. He basically was on like The Last Ship. He's been on a ton of like television shows, but he really should be the next Scott Adkins or the next big action guy. He's definitely got the chops. That it's so funny that some of the melodrama is just that melodrama and so laughable, and yet after you watch that fight sequence, it was like you just forget about how cringy and lifetimey the rest of it was. Yeah. And you're just like, okay, wow, that was fantastic.
Yeah, it is so fantastic. That ending, it does away with the attempted suicide that the mother does, where she takes all the pills, and it's like the most over dramatic scene.
Yeah.
Oh man,
there's a lot.
There's
in
a
the
lot
bathroom at work.
At the bathroom at work, she's popping a bunch of pills. But again, great movie, loved it. So thankful for you and the GGTMC guys bringing that to my attention, and everybody else. So get out there, see this. Needs to get more eyes on it.
Yep. Life After Fighting looks like you can catch it on Prime if you subscribe, and then Tubi is for free. It's also rentable for under $3 at places. So yeah, everybody definitely check that one out. Good looking bloke too. Like he's gifted in lots of departments. So
big thick son of a bitch too. My God,
exactly.
Guy,
he reminded
me like with the shirt off, like Mark. What's his name? The Superman. Hamill. What's his name?
Mark. Which Superman?
The newest, not the new one, but the one from the Snyderverse. Why is my brain not working? When
Henry Cavill.
Cavill. That's right.
Yeah. Not only
off, he's just so thick. That's how I felt about them. They look thick and beefy.
Well, not only Henry Cavill, but like I think his closest counterpart is Manu Bennett. They kind of definitely look. What I mean, Manu is a Kiwi in New Zealand, and Bren is Australian, so like it makes sense that they kind of have the same looks,
Beast.
Yes, Beast. Exactly, like a WillDaBeast. So, all right. So again, please leave a review for us. That's how we trick the algorithm, and our podcast ends up as a suggested. If you're watching us again on Spotify or YouTube, please hit follow, like, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. If you love us, you will certainly love our podfathers, who we talk about all the time. Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema and Not a Bomb with Troy and Brad. You'll also love our pod brother, MC, former co-host, who now has Friends with Cinefits, where he reviews older films where there's a discrepancy between the Whole Food aggregate website score between critics and and audiences. And then you would also love Night of the Living podcast, the Wild Dream podcast, Death by DVD, Raiders of the Podcast Across the Pond with Kevin and Tyler, Backlook Cinema podcast, and Craig. And now for something a little bit different, that's the John Horgan YouTube channel, Caliber 9 from Outer Space, and The Feminine Critique. Mike, parting thoughts.
I just want to shout out John Horgan did send me a message, said he listened to the Electric State episode and told me to tell you and us that he really enjoyed that episode. And he said that we really, we're finding our footing, and he just really enjoyed it. So again, thanks, John, for listening.
Thank you, John. I
also know Jared Dennison listens to us weekly. So thank you, Jared, for messaging me and for continuing to listen and being a good friend to me and Cupcake. Again, thank you guys, all of our listeners, all of our friends, all of you out there. Thank you once again. And please feel free to reach out. You can find me on the socials, Mike Wilden on Facebook. So feel free to DM me. I'm also on Instagram. So you can reach out to me or send an email directly to us at watchskipplus@gmail.com. We'll read your emails. We'll give you a shout out. And again, if you guys want to recommend a film that's coming out in the future, say, oh, this is coming out in April, we'd love for you guys to review it. Send us an email. We just talk about what we're going to review and make a decision. So we'd love to have your feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. Save exhibition, save physical media. And just like the message in Snow White, be kind, be open, be vulnerable, because that's where the art is. All right. See you guys next week.
Bye, everyone.
Awesome. What are we reviewing next?